Welcome to the Dom and Angie Show. Today we're talking to Brian Blackington, who is with Roommates in Recovery. We're going to go over, how he got there, what he does, how he operates the sober living, and all of the good stuff that helps our community. And we actually, all disclosures, we have a home in Corpus Christi that he rents from us. So we're proud of that, helping support the community and support recovery. Let's talk to Brian. Let's meet him. Let's see what he's about. Go ahead, Brian. For our listeners who haven't met you, obviously, who's Brian in 60 seconds?
Basically somebody that, went through some trials and tribulations in my life with addiction, alcoholism and drugs. It took me to some pretty dark places. Today marks today is I'm 8 years clean today, October 1st. My clean date is October 1st, 2017. So I fell into a situation in recovery when I opened up, a sober living home with 8 people in Corpus Christi, Texas. And we went from 8 beds basically to 83 in 6 years. So today I'm a parent.
83 in 6 years?
Yeah, 83 beds in 6 years. We just opened up our 7th house about 2 months ago, and we're still actually turning people away today. I have the Ponish house, which is the one you're very familiar with. That house has got a couple guys on the couch waiting for beds to open up. We have also the first veteran sober living house in the state of Texas, which opened up almost 2 years ago. So yeah, we're doing things down here in the community, and happy to be where I'm at today. Happy to be here on the show.
We're happy to have you, man. You're doing the hard work.
Yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy. It isn't. I see what you have to do, the structure, what you go through to help people. And when they're in that situation, their brains aren't always working how we think they should, right? Because they're in recovery and stuff's happening and life's in turmoil. So it takes a special person who can navigate those waters and still help them and reach them with that structure. Yeah, it's very difficult. What was life like before sobriety, man?
It was basically insanity. The unmanageability outward with, things like suspended driver's licenses. I had put my sister, who's active military of 20 years, through, damage that I couldn't see at the time. My parents, my mom and my dad, when I'm out in that zone, I'm not thinking about anybody but myself. I'm not understanding who I'm hurting or why I'm hurting them until I got into recovery and started to actually understand the damage I was doing to the ones that love me the most.
Yeah.
Finding ways and means to get more, not being able to hold a job. This is some of the outward unmanageability that I noticed in my life before I ended up in a treatment center, obviously in Corpus Christi. But those were just some of the things, and it shows by, arrests. Think people on probation, violating probation, can't stay clean. You're always failing your UAs. These are things that I actually went through, before I got into recovery and started understanding about the disease and how it works, and the fact that drugs and alcohol were ultimately my solution. And there was some inside trauma going on and some things that I had to really look at.
So do you think childhood shaped that path? What do you think was contributed to you,
I definitely think childhood had a lot to do with it. As far as my childhood goes, I grew up on the East Coast in Massachusetts. I had a dad that overworked himself to give us a good life, and he did that. He really did. But at the same time, he was very, very heavy into alcohol, was very physically abusive with me, my mom, and my sister. And, as young as 14 years old, I started to get into his liquor cabinet, and that's when I started to change the way that I was feeling. And some of that, experience growing up, understanding at the ages of 16 and 17 and 18, when my dad would tell me he loved me, he would always have alcohol in his breath. So that began to affect me when I got older, because I was thinking, this dude's got to be messed up to tell me he loves me. I'm his son, so that left a scar. And then being 17 and 18 and him actually asking me to go score for him sometimes because I had a valid driver's license kind of fueled that part of my addiction. I found, more harder drugs at that point.
So access, you had access to it. You had the role model in your life, the male role model, the main one was doing that as well. Um, yeah, that's difficult. But now you're
Yeah.
recovering and things are great and you're helping people out. Who showed up for you though? Like who was that person when you
I don't really necessarily think that somebody necessarily showed up for me. What happened was I was in treatment, and when I was in treatment, obviously these 12-step meetings came in, and this guy was sitting there, and he was talking. He was 6 years clean at the time, and he told my story. And when he did that, that's the first time I actually had a little hope. And I was thinking, if this guy can do it, who had my personality, he had my lifestyle, a lot of the things he had hit me as far as similarities went. And then I started, obviously, when I got out of treatment, to, get into 12-step fellowship and start my recovery there. But that's kind of where it started. And it was something that I was really, truly tired of. I was tired of the results I was getting from life. I was tired of the outcomes, whether it was, my parents turning their back on me, ruining friendships, ruining relationships. And, ultimately nobody wanted me around, because I was that type of person where I was just trying to do what I had to do to get whatever I wanted. So I was going through that, and it really kind of started in treatment, but I had to show up there. I wasn't forced to go to treatment. I did that on my own. And then I went to a sober living house after that, and it all kind of came together.
you had enough, right? You put in your mind that this you have to change. So it was
Yes.
you who made that decision. I have to,
Yes,
and you put yourself around other people that like role models to help you. Oh, if he can do it, I can do it. I love it.
exactly.
Love
And
it.
that's exactly how it went, and I get calls sometimes from parents that want to help their kids, or I get calls sometimes from people that they just don't know what to do, and unfortunately, sometimes, there's still a stigma on addicts or alcoholics. We don't like to talk about that. You know what I mean? That's something that wasn't talked about a lot when I was a child. You know what I mean? And it was always something that was never discussed at the dinner table. It was always something that was never discussed. But there's a serious,
Put it under the rug. Put it under the rug.
yeah, yeah. And there's a serious substance abuse issue in the United States in lots of cities. And now the tentacles, if you will, are going out and affecting families everywhere. And this is not something that we have to hide anymore. This is something that we can talk about, because until we talk about it, there is no solution,
Right.
you know? And that's the important part, is people knowing who they can call or what they can do, or somebody that can relate to what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna shift gears a little bit here. How did you go from getting sober and then getting into sober living and running these and owning these? Like, how did that,
Okay,
what
that's a really good question.
big leap?
It all started for me at a place called Recovery Contacts Incorporated in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's a 90 meetings in 90 days. It was like the boot camp, if you will, for sober living. I did 90 days there. I did all the things that they wanted me to do. I got a sponsor. I started working steps. I went to meetings and all that stuff. And then I moved into a different sober living house. When I moved into that sober living house, 5 or 6 of the people that had been in that house before me relapsed rather quickly. And I found myself in almost, if you will, a leadership position. Um, so some people came in and they taught me a little bit about how a sober living house runs. And then the owner came in and specifically said, look, I'm not re-signing with this specific sober living house anymore. You have to make a decision of whether you want to sign a lease. And she was talking to me because I'd been there a little over a year at that point. And she said, you need to make a decision. You need to either sign a lease with me, or I'm going to be filing an eviction notice. And I said to her, well, you're going to have to give me a couple of days to let you know. So I talked to some people in the recovery community. At the time that this all took place was in 2018. There was 8 solid members in the house, and I didn't want them thrown all over, Corpus Christi, Texas, in different houses, because whatever was going on there was a really good thing. There was a lot of unity. the guys were solid. We were all doing our thing as far as working and paying our membership fees and working steps and talking with sponsors and going through that process of recovery. So that's when the organization was born. And like I said, that was in late 2018, 2019. And here we are in 2025. And we've got literally 7 houses and 83 beds, like I was saying. And I don't know really what my purpose was, but apparently this was it. I guess it's something that I'm really good at because I can relate to a lot of these guys. And I've been through a lot of the things that these guys have been through. No offense to anybody that's just learned it out of a book or whatever, but I've had that experience, right? I've been where they've been. So sometimes all somebody needs is someone to believe in them,
Yes.
because it's been so long since somebody actually believed in somebody that's going through that kind of stuff. And I actually try to personally stay involved with the newer clients that are coming in. So I do the best of my ability to be stopping by the houses and showing up and being there. And I go to my meetings still so the guys can see me working on my recovery as well. But I think that's why I might be, have a little knack at this, because I've been there and I understand where they're coming from, and I understand the things they're going to go through, probation and getting your driver's license back, and just little things like that I can help them with. And I personally do help them get fines turned into community service and things like that.
Those things feel like huge mountains when you're going through something, even when you're not. All those little, your driver's license, your fines, your court dates, huge mountains when you're going through this. Your brain is just not able to bring all that in, and you're able to bridge that gap. I love it. So you just kept showing up.
I kept showing up, yeah, and I kept being there, and I kept just, leading the way the best of my ability. And I'm not perfect, and I do make bad decisions sometimes. I'm human, but yeah. And it's just like, the solution today isn't picking up a bottle of alcohol. The solution for me today isn't using or any of that. Today, the solution is I have other people that have gone through what I've gone through, and they've stayed clean through it. So that's what, this recovery process teaches me, is I can reach out to somebody that's been through a bad relationship. I can reach out to somebody that's, like, for instance, recently, just to share a little bit with you what's going on in my personal life. Somebody stole my credit, and there's a auto loan on my credit that's not supposed to be there. So I found out that was there in the process of trying to mortgage my own house. And the lady's like, you actually qualify, but your debt to income ratio doesn't work because of this new vehicle. And I was like, what new vehicle? Like,
I ain't driving no new car.
I'm not driving no 2017 Cadillac Escalade, which was on there. So I now have an attorney, and I'm going through the process of getting all that stuff removed. And there's some lawsuits being placed right now. But that's something I'm going through in my personal life that maybe 8 years ago, I would have said, well, I need to go change the way I feel. And today, I don't have to do that. I can take the steps needed to get in the solution and get it taken off my credit and find out what the story is. But I had to go through the filing of the police report. I had to go through contacting a lawyer, contacting the car dealership, contacting the finance company. Like, it's been a process going through all of this. And it's probably going to take another 2 or 3 months to get it completely removed off my credit with no damage. But that's just one example of things that I can go through today, and I don't have to go change the way I feel over it.
Would you say that it's the hope that got you there? Because hope is everything, right? If you have no
Oh, yeah.
hope, all of those things that you did would feel impossible almost. Why do that when it's hopeless over here anyway? So would you say that maybe hope is a big part of that? Like, you see the progression, you see hope, so you can do those things?
Yes, it's absolutely hope. And like I said, being able to see, I'm 8 years sober, and like seeing the guys that are 15, seeing the guys that are 20, seeing the guys that are 30, that's what gives me hope that I can get there, and know that they're still struggling with things in their life as well.
Yeah.
That's what gives me the hope. And I like to give the guys that are coming in after me hope, and let them know, look, if I can change my life and if I can do this, you can do it too.
Right. I love it. What's next here? So you probably saw a gap too. Once you had one house, you probably saw, hey, we need more houses. We need more beds. Was there something that, were you getting flooded in with your first house that you had so many? You're like, there's a problem here. I can solve this and I can help people. Is that kind of how it went?
Yeah. We were running the original Salem house for probably a couple of years. And then that original entity I was telling you about, Recovery Contacts Incorporated, that I started in, I called up the guy that owned that or was running that, and I said, "Hey, how do I open up a veteran sober living house?" And he said to me, "You'd want to use a different EIN number because it's veterans." And he was kind of coaching me on it. And then he said, "Well, we were thinking about signing over RCI to you, which is the 16-man fourplex." And I thought he was kidding, to be honest with you. And then he called me back and he told me, "Meet me here on this day." I walked into a board meeting and they signed me over RCI. So our 8 beds went from 8 beds, and then we added 16. And then when those two entities stayed full, that's when I was like, wow, there's something really going on here. We're going to have to start doing more houses. And in 2023, we opened up 3, the veterans, a Corey Z house and a Kelly's house, all in the same year. And that really kind of pushed us up over that mark. And then, a little more time went by. And in 2024, we opened up a man and child spot house. So there's 2 children over there with 2 men. It has been CPS and CASA approved, which is kind of a big deal. And there's stipulations on that house, obviously, that CPS put on there that we abide by. And then we just opened up our 7th house in 2025, like 2 months ago, and we're still turning people away. We can only take so many into Ponish because like there's 2 or 3 on the couch right now. So we're waiting for beds to open up. But yeah, it's been constant, just crazy. And we are partnered up with some people in the community here, like MHID. So if a client has some mental health issues, we suggest them to go down there to the SUDS program, which is substance use disorder with the mental health. They get evaluated, they get a caseworker. We have multiple partners, Wellness Foundation. We're linked up with the VA down here. If we get a veteran that's in need of his DD 214, or if he's in need of PTSD, we got like a direct line for veterans right into the VA. We got a guy over there that helps us out a lot, tremendously. So we have a lot of resources in the community to help these people. If they have specific needs, we have somebody we can count on.
Know a guy. You have a network.
Huh?
Know a guy. You have a network of people.
We know a guy. We know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy all over the place.
Now, I didn't clarify this in the beginning. It's sober living houses, but are they all just for veterans, or is there a mixture?
No, we have a veterans house that holds 12. We have a women's house that holds 10. We have the 2 men and children spot in a men's house, and then the rest are men's houses. So it's 83 beds, but it's mixed up between veterans, women, and non-veterans, of course, men. But yeah, we got spots for all people, men, women, veterans, whatever. The veterans just seem to be more likely. We put them together because from what I understand, and I'm not a veteran and I don't know a lot, but I've learned a lot from the veteran that was in one of my houses, is veterans trust veterans before civilians. That's what I've been told, and that's what I've learned. And that's why we opened that house. So veterans have a place of their own that they can go and be together and get through this together.
Yeah, I love it. Let's get into the nuts and bolts a little bit, like the actual sober living home. Like what does the intake look like? We'll go through a series of questions. Intake, structure, relapse. So we could take these on one by one. Like intake, who qualifies? Like what's the wait list look like? How do you get qualified? What does that look like?
Well, all they really have to do is they have to call up and they have to be willing to, there's a couple of things. They got to be willing to work a 12-step program. They got to be willing to have a sponsor. They got to be willing to get a job, right? So Social Security and card and ID are a big deal coming in. And we get them in the workforce right away. We get them going to meetings. There's a 30-day, if you will, almost like blackout period where they can't spend nights outside of the house. There's a 10 o'clock curfew on weekdays, 12 o'clock curfew on weekends. It's completely structured. We have house managers in the house, but they're not in a position of power. It's a position of leadership. The reason these people are selected to be leaders in the house is because they're maintaining zero balance. They're maintaining step work. They're maintaining sponsorship. They're there to guide and lead the newcomers and show them, look, this is how we do this. The reason they are all structured so well, in my opinion, is because what I did when I started the first house is I copy and pasted. I took 2 or 3 people out of the original house and I put them in the next house. And then I took 2 or 3 people in that house and I put them in the next house. So the houses are all identical. The houses don't have different rules depending on what location you're at. It's all black and white and it's all the same. It's not different.
Discipline and consistency. which is what.
Yes, and accountability is a big one too. Like we even have chores that the clients got to do twice a week, and it teaches them to keep their area clean, their bed made. And you can even get little fines for leaving your coffee cup out on the kitchen counter or whatever. And it's the rule is use a dish, wash a dish, put a dish away. We don't do messes. If you walk into any of the houses at any time, they're spotless. The beds are made, the trash is taken out. There's no dishes in the sink. Like it's very structured.
Yeah, we all need that, and especially if we're going, anybody who doesn't have that discipline could get into some sort of vice, man. I mean, none of us are immune to it. We're all human. So having that discipline, that regular basis that you do things on a regular, the consistency, having that consistency and the discipline takes the mind off of maybe the other substances and things like that, and it keeps it busy and rewires it.
Yes, for somebody that's new to all of this, unfortunately, idle time is their worst enemy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, for all of us, absolutely. What about relapse? Somebody has a relapse. How do you respond to that? Are they automatically like out of the home? Do they have to wait back to get into the home? Like how does that work?
okay, so all of the houses are zero tolerance. We do not tolerate it. We do not sweep it under the rug. We have to set and maintain a good example. So the first time somebody relapses, it's 14 days. They have to be gone for 14 days. Now they can choose to go back to detox. They can choose to go to another sober living organization, but they're welcome back after 14 days on the first offense.
Yeah.
Second offense, 30 days. Like we don't want to become enablers, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
So there's consequences to this, and it can lead to eventually having to wait like a year before you come back because we'll give you a few chances, but like I said, we're not going to enable you. We're not going to allow you to come back in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a year because some people do that with the local treatment facility. They go out and they use and they stay out there for a couple of months and then they go to the detox facility and treatment. They'll run through detox just to get their energy back up. They'll go back out again, rinse, repeat, right? So we try to break that cycle with consequences, but it is zero tolerance as far as that goes. And we work very, very well too with parole officers and probation officers and stuff like that. So we want to maintain the reputation we've gained in the community for being a solid, structured environment.
how do you how do you handle like safety and meds if somebody has to take meds or like how does that all work?
Okay, so medication is not something that we take as far as not narcotics. We do not allow narcotic medications. No Xanax, nothing like that. Because there's always a substitute. You know what I mean? There really is. There's no reason to be on that kind of medication when you're trying to do this. But anything like psych meds, if they're on psych meds, they're always subject to a pill count, and the client has to have a lockbox. So the house manager can call the client in at any time and do what they call a pill count and make sure they're taking their medication as prescribed, right? And they have to have a lockbox if it's something that helps them with sleep or something, you know what I mean? They're not in the houses like passing around their prescription medications.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge one, man. That would be a hard one to police. What about affordability? Like how affordable is it? Who pays for it? Like how does that all work?
Okay, so we don't take at this point, we don't have any outside donations coming in. We're not funded by the state. We're not funded by the federal government. The clients pay their membership fees, and we call them membership fees. And the reason we do that is because they waive their rights in the application to their Texas tenant rights because they are members of a nonprofit organization. And if they pay their membership fees and keep up on their membership fees, then they can stay in the house. As far as like how the houses work, each client pays $150 a week. Now, let me tell you what that includes because it's actually a really good deal. It's basically $600 a month. It's going to cover your electric. It's going to cover your cable. It's going to cover your place to stay. It's going to cover your bed. We also buy the guys and clients or women or whatever in the house. We provide laundry pods, laundry detergent, cleaning supplies, toilet paper, paper towels. And here's the kicker. We're hooked up with the Coastal Bend Food Bank in Corpus Christi, Texas, and we pick up HEB donations, which is a grocery store here, on Saturdays and Sundays. And they give us donations of meat. They give us donations of produce. They give us donations of pastries and bread and all kinds of stuff. And what we do is we take it to the main building, RCI, and we weigh it all out because we have to report the numbers to Coastal Bend Food Bank. And then each house gets a big tray of food that's got a combination of all this stuff on it for the newcomers. for the guys that are just coming in that don't have a lot of money, that want to take sandwiches to work to save some money or whatever, or guys that might be hungry at night that don't have a lot of options. We try to help them out that way and provide a little something for them to eat.
So for $150 a week, they pretty much just get to live. They get a place to stay, they get warmth, not clothes, but they get warmth, a bed, roof over their head, some food, cleaning supplies, all that kind of stuff.
All that kind of stuff. Yep. They
That's
can
so,
do their laundry. There's laundry machines in there, and we don't charge to do laundry. Like it's not something you got to input quarters in or nothing. There's laundry washer, dryer in every residence.
which is
The
great.
what?
It's not a profit center for you, which is wonderful.
No, 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 no. It's
I love that.
no, absolutely not.
All right, let's talk about staffing, man. Like, who does the day to day? You have one leader, one house manager. How does that work?
The house managers are in the house. They live on site. These guys are doing the same thing that the newcomers are doing. They're just a little more established. They've been in the house. The youngest house manager I have has probably been clean 3 or 4 months. So it just kind of depends on who I get to choose from, who I get to pick from. I do not force anybody in that position that does not want to be in that position, because it's pointless. He's the eyes and the ears of what's going on in the house. Above him is an executive director. There's an executive director that does not live in the house, but he's got experience with the houses. Most of my executive directors are alumni from the house. So they like to stay involved after they leave. They oversee the house managers, what's going on in the house. Any direct questions that a house manager may have, he reaches out to his executive director and asks any questions that might need to be asked, or if he needs any guidance, that's who he'll call. If the executive director has something that he needs to bring to me, then the executive director will call me and say, hey, this is going on over at the 525 Ponish address. I need help. What do I do? And that comes to I'll find out, like, for instance, here's an example. We need to call a plumber, or we need the AC to be looked at. When it's something like that, the executive director will reach out to me and say, hey, we need a plumber sent over to Ponish, or we need a AC tech sent over to Vet House. I just recently had to fix the garage door over there, and one of the clients wanted to do it. And if you know anything about the garage doors, they got those tension springs on them. It's a very dangerous thing to try to fix. So I will not allow a client to do something like that. So I had to pay a company to go out there and re-spring that garage door opener and put the broken cable on it. But that's just an example of some of the day-to-day things that can possibly go wrong. Washer machine breaks down, dryer breaks down, refrigerator goes out. Those are things that I'll get a call and I'll have to either send somebody over there to fix them, or I'll have to get somebody to replace them.
Now, do you have some vendors that work with you, and if it's an easy call, they fix it and they don't charge you and that kind of stuff, or?
Yeah, we do a lot of business with Star Appliance in Corpus Christi, Texas. They go out and fix a lot of our stuff. So yeah, they're our number one washer, dryer, refrigerator people. Those are the common things that go out most, is the washer, dryer, refrigerators, but we can't ever have enough of those.
Okay, that's good to know, because we're going to ask for people to donate that stuff when they watch this. What about the neighborhood? So it keeps sounding like community networking, talking to people. How do you stay in good grace with the neighborhood? Do you do some stuff before you start the program there, ongoing things? How do you keep in good graces with the neighborhood besides zoning?
To be honest with you, we went through that most recently with 2 houses. We went through that at the beginning with the Veterans House, and I understand why. The lady, it's really weird how the world turns, but this lady works for a nonprofit agency too. She lives 2 doors down from the Veterans House, and me and her were both recently at an event together, promoting our nonprofit organizations. It was for that company called Caterpillar, or CAT, or whatever. And we were there, and she came over and she said, you guys are the house that's 2 doors down from mine, right, on Santa Sofia? And I was like, yeah. And she actually came over 2 weekends ago, and she met the guys, and she came in. And it turns out that house that we had purchased over there used to be a house that they were cooking meth in. So a lot of the neighbors obviously didn't like that house, and they were worried about it because people hear the word addicts or whatever, or alcoholics, and they automatically think, oh my God, the neighborhood's going to go down the tubes or whatever. And she came over and we had a really productive conversation. She got to talk to some of the veterans in the house, and she feels like we're a part of the family now. The guys do the chores. They keep the lawn mowed. They keep the trash out at the end of the road on trash days. So like, we're part of the family now. But at the beginning, it was kind of hard to overcome that because I guess when the police raided it, there was all kinds of chaos in that neighborhood. So I can understand why they felt the way they felt. But a lot of these are just regular homes in regular neighborhoods, and it's just filled with a group of guys that's trying to put their lives together. So we haven't really had a lot of pushback on a lot of the houses. It just kind of depends on the neighborhood that we end up renting a house in. And that's the one thing too about, renting the houses. If we do have to rent the house, then I tell the landlord right off the rip, this is what we're doing. This is what we're about. So there's no confusion. It's complete transparency from day one. Like, this is what we are. This is what we're doing. This is our website. You can go check it out. And we really haven't had a lot of pushback or negative uh, things in the neighborhood going on. There's not a lot of police showing up. There's not a lot of, because some of the rules in the house also require no aggressive behavior. Like, that's not, you know what I mean? You're not going to be aggressive with any members of the house. So there's rules, and the guys are pretty good about positive energy. There's a lot of positive energy in these houses. You walk in and you can feel the spirit of recovery. You can feel the spirit of the unity in the houses. A lot of these guys get really close to one another being there for a set amount of time.
Sure. And the people in the neighborhood like it because you keep the house clean. You keep the yard manicured and trimmed. You keep the house
Yes.
great. So you're adding value for them. Otherwise, it could be, who knows, an abandoned house or a homeowner in there that doesn't take care of their yard. You guys are doing all the stuff a good homeowner should do.
Yes, we clean vents, we clean windows. Like, the guys really, really do a great job on the houses. They're always putting their chores in the little group chat they have, and I'll look in it once in a while and I'll be like, "Wow, that lawn looks good." Like, so yeah, they take it serious, and they're grateful too. I remind them, be grateful that you guys have a place to go. You know what I mean?
You get to do these things. Last night I had to bring the trash cans in. I'm like, oh man, it's late. I don't want to bring these in. Wait. I get to. I can walk over there. I'm healthy. I'm alive. My family. Yes, you get to do these things. So being grateful helps out a lot when they're doing that.
Yes, staying grateful is a big deal.
That leads us to our partnership with landlords. Like, we both have to be grateful for each other. What makes a strong operator landlord relationship? Like, what are the key things you need there?
Well, for my end, I care about the house. Like, bottom line, that's how I feel about all of the rental properties. I tell these guys, treat it like this is your home, because it is. Right now, it is your home. Treat it like that. You know what I mean? If this was your home and you owned this home, how would you want it to look? And because of the fact that I always let the guys know, I bring different, places in Texas, recovery treatment facilities. I always have people that want to tour the houses. So I always let them know I could be coming in here at any time, touring different treatment facilities, because I want them to see and know where they're sending their clients. So they always do a really good job at taking care of the houses. Every time I walk in recently, I've never had a complaint. Like, I'll look in the sink, I'll look for dishes, and I'm looking for a reason to say something. Yeah, and they're really doing a good job. The accountability is just really, really going well. I put in a lot of work for this, over the last 5 years, and it was a lot of physical labor. It was a lot of running around. It was a lot of hours to if you will, micromanage it first. But it's become to the point now where I can breathe a little bit. I can back up a little bit. I've got all the right people in all the right places helping me for the common goal of, keeping the houses up to par and keeping the clients on track.
So for landlords that think, oh, I don't want that, they're going to trash my home, it's the opposite.
It is the opposite. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually part of the program, is to keep this environment clean, nice, and safe, and all of that stuff. So
Clean, safe. Yes. And definitely yes, we have an impact in the community, especially like we're in a really, really nice neighborhood at the Ponish address. And, we keep the lawn mowed, we keep it weed eated. And it's a beautiful house. It really is. Like, you walk in there and you're like, this is really a sober living house. And I'm like, yeah, like, this is, you know what I mean? And we have, normally we have partners in the community where we get brand new beds when we open a house. So the guys are coming into to nice furniture. It's not by any means like I'm buying them secondhand stuff or stuff that I wouldn't sleep in. Like, if I wouldn't sleep in it, it's not in the house. You know what I mean? So I take care of them. I have, I've been through a lot of the same walks they have, and I believe they deserve the best, you know?
yeah, so in the landlord, for me, our stance to be a good relationship, you guys do go above and beyond and do great, is us being flexible if something happens. The rents, so there's a kind of a two question here. What's the biggest myth? I'll give you mine. The biggest myth about sober living houses that I thought before getting involved with you And the biggest myth for me was a lot of investors look at it like I can make this much in rent. I mean, that's what they look at. They're going to help people, but they look at that. They say I could buy this house, make this much in rent. Where that's not the case. It's you're not able to charge this much in rent because your program doesn't allow for it. So that was a big myth for me and eye-opening. And I educate people now like you're not going to get that much money. And if you are, your people who are moving in there to operate your sober living, they're not going to be successful because you're cutting them down. You're taking all their profit before they can even start. So you got to keep the rents affordable for me.
Yes. Yes. And the way we do that is because now here's the thing. There's kind of a catch to that.
As the landlord, we got to keep it affordable for you to operate it. So then you can turn a profit and still help people at the same time.
Right. And that's just it. We're not making a lot of money. The house is surviving, but the rent goes according to what other sober living houses in the area are charging. Now, in the Corpus Christi area, the highest weekly rent in some of the other sober living organizations would probably be upwards of 170, 180. In Austin, Texas, I hear it's as high as almost $200 a week. But we're not trying to do that because when they're first coming in, when a client's first coming into the house, they've got all this stuff on their mind. You know, you've taken away their alcohol, you've taken away their drugs. Most of these guys have been through a 30-day treatment facility. And we're like encouraging them to hit the ground running and start putting their lives back together. But yeah, if you try to charge a client like $180, $190, I mean, it changes over the years a little bit. It'll go up $10, you know what I mean, or whatever. But we have to stay within a certain amount depending on the economy in the area. Right. So, you know, it does become like Ponish has been doing really good. A lot of the houses have been doing really good financially because we've stayed full for the last 4 or 5 months. So that's a plus. You know, if the bed count goes down and we go through a slow period, then of course the bank account's going to drop down. And that's where we have like prudent reserve come in. We try to allow the account to go up to a certain amount of money. So if we have a slow month or two, we can still cover our bills. You know what I mean?
Landlords out there, pay attention. You're not trying to get rich. You're helping people. You're solving a problem, and you have a steady, long-term renter in there that's going to love and take care of your home. So that's the payoff for the landlords, not, you know, trying to gouge people and make as much as they possibly can. So we appreciate you on that. What else we got here? With your partnerships, what are your goals, Dan, for the next 12 months? Business goals. We'll get into personal maybe.
Well, there's a big thing that's been on my mind that I kind of just wanted to throw out there. Obviously, getting to a point where we own all the homes would be good. But right now, I was telling you about that Recovery Contacts Incorporated building. That building has been around since 2009 in the community, helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people through the years. They signed it over to me in 2022. That building's in need of a serious renovation. I'm trying to find, like, if I could ask the audience or whoever's watching this, I need to find a grant writer. Like, I need to find somebody that could help me come up with a grant for this building. Now, here's some tricks I learned a little bit about grant writing. There are 12-step meetings right in the back of this place. It's a fourplex with a meeting room in the back and, of course, my office. There's a meeting room right beside me over here. But this building is starting to lean. The foundation's dropping on one side. It's old, it's beat up, it needs a makeover, it needs upkeep. And I've asked my contractor to write me an estimate. So he's working on that. He came over and walked it the other day. But we're probably looking at $175,000 to $220,000 to renovate this building. And you can see that on the website. If you go to Sober Living and you look at RCI, you'll see the fourplex, you'll see the old T111 on it, like it's rotting, the window frames, it's in bad shape. It needs help. That's what I'm currently working on. I'm trying to apply for some Corpus Christi grants. And we are hooked up with SAMS.gov. We got the EIN numbers and cage numbers in SAMS.gov. So if anybody does know how to write a grant, I definitely like to try to get a grant writer.
I have a pretty good grant writer. Angie's sitting next to me. That's why I keep looking this way. She's running. I can hook you up with that for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's something I really need. Somebody to help me sit down and like put a grant in to get some money to renovate this property over here. This one is in dire need, and I don't want it to get to the point where we have to shut it down. But the floor is sinking in apartment 1 really bad. So it needs help bad. And like,
Right.
I want to get on this like as soon as possible because these guys deserve a nice place. And this place is in dire need of a renovation. This one particular building.
So we can help you with that. What else would you need right now? Like, what do you need help with? Do you need, and we know the money in the grant writer. Do you need donations? Do you need, what would help the program?
Always washers, dryers, refrigerators. Monetary donations are great. Even hygiene. If somebody wants to send cases of hygiene to the Veterans House or even the 626 Robinson House, we're always looking for stuff like that to provide the newcomers with hygiene when they come in. That's a big thing. We had somebody donate a bunch of towels and bedding recently, so we're really doing well on that. Uh, but hygiene is one of the things the newcomers need. We also go through lots of bus passes. Those are another thing that we go through so the clients can get to where they need to go. But just, I always think of the newcomer, like, what didn't I have when I came in? You know what I mean? I came in raw. I came in with a backpack. I didn't have a lot of clothes, but clothing's always good. Tennis shoes, work boots, like things like that for these new guys to have, like, work boots. Even your cheapest pair at Walmart's like $25, but just things like that, gift cards, like whatever. I mean, just things where these guys can get, work boots, work clothes. Some of them go to restaurant jobs, so they need non-slip. There's a real big demand down here for the restaurant jobs. A lot of guys are going to that. But I just try to think of what the newcomers would need when they come in. And a lot of it is hygiene, bus passes, clothes, non-slip boots, work boots. It just depends.
What's that link? Where should somebody go if they just wanted to donate or find out about what's that link? What's that?
It's the letter R, the letter N, and the letter R, rnrveteranshouse.org. There's a donate thing on there. There's the address to the Veterans House on there. They can get packages sent to the veterans address, which is 3006 Santa Sofia Street in Corpus Christi, Texas, zip code 78415. Or they can send it to 626 Robinson Street in Corpus Christi, Texas, 78404. That's where my office is. That's where we do the food distribute all the food and everything all the time. But yeah, monetary donations you can donate on the website. And if people want to get anything sent, those are the two addresses. But like I said, if they go to rnrveteranshouse.org, there's a little thing on the left-hand side that says sober living. They can view all the houses and check them out. The newest one's not on there, but there's 6 out of 7 on that site. They can view all the addresses, all the houses, and get all the information. It's mission, purpose, vision. It's veterans phone numbers. It's partners we have in the community. We are linked up with the United Way. We are linked up with the Chamber of Commerce. So those are places that we're linked up with in the community. Wellness Foundation is big. The Council Alcohol and Drug Abuse, Mission 911. We're linked up with a lot of partners in the community, and we have a lot of resources to try to help people.
I just had an idea. I'm kind of going off script here a little bit. Do you work a lot with real estate agents? Let me tell you why. Real estate agents are always selling homes, right? And there's always something left behind. The clients can't take this, the clients can't take that. Refrigerators, washers, dryers, you name it, they leave it behind. Dressers, beds. By hooking up with some agents, when they run into that situation, a lot of times they need somebody just to come get it, right? They're not going to go.
Yeah.
Too difficult. You're going to make $100, $200. It takes too much time for them, and they can't slow down. But where you could come in is just say, hey, we'll go grab it. You tell us what to get, and we'll go take it. We'll grab it and we'll take it to the. And I'm telling you, if I was in Corpus Christi, you would have so many you would have just got 3 refrigerators.
12 beds.
I wish you were in Corpus Christi.
I have 12 beds right now from a failed sober living home. My buddy's storing it. There's 12 of them. They're nice, brand new beds. They've never been slept in. If I wish I could ship them. I probably could see how much shipping would be. I'll ship you all those beds.
Wow. Yeah, we could probably use them like for the next house or whatever. I don't know how fast it's going to happen, but it is growing at a crazy rate. Like I always tell myself, and I talk to my sponsor, and I'm like, dude, we're getting ready to open another house. And he's like, I thought you weren't going to do that anymore. Like, because 7 is a lot, you know what I mean? Like for one person kind of doing this whole thing, it's a lot, but that's something else. Like I said, I want to talk to a grant writer about, because I definitely need to get in a position where I can hire help,
That, and maybe some help. I don't know what you're using to intake everything. If it's spreadsheets, if it's a system, like a CRM type system, I don't know what you're using, but there may be some ways to streamline that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, all the house managers. See, the weird thing about this is I figured, we could use one account for like all the houses, but that's not the case. We have to use one account for each house, because we have to see what house and what what house is bringing in what income, because that income belongs to that house. So like we have a bank account. I have 7 bank accounts, one for each house. Veterans bank accounts. That is, we record all the money coming in. We record all the money coming out. We have Adamson and Company as our accountant. So recently we qualified for a credit card, because when I go to Sam's Club and I have to break down 4 carts of stuff with debit cards and pay, I called up the lady at Clayburgh Bank. Yeah, and I was like, hey, do you think we could qualify for a credit card? I said, because this is kind of, a pain in the butt. So we got a credit card. So I just went to Sam's Club this morning, spent $800 on supplies because we were running low. But like, that's another thing. Toilet paper, paper towels, like we go through those like crazy. I'm eventually going to start buying them by the pallet, like literally, because we go through so much and I need to have a place to put them all. But yeah, it's a lot down here with 7 houses. And I don't see us not growing, like, because we're still turning people away. I'm still getting calls from treatment facilities, probation officers, parole officers. Even this one guy, he used to work for Channel 3 News down here. And he called me up, and he'd been with Channel 3 News for like, as a journalist for like 30 years. And he told me, he's like, I don't know what to do with my son. He's like, he just got arrested for a DUI. He's like, and I paid his bond, but I told the bondsman not to let him out until I find a place he can go. Like every time he comes back here, he starts drinking again and blah, 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 blah. And he did like 9 months in the house, and he's doing great today. You know what I mean? But some people just don't know what to do, and that's the other thing, like, too, that breaks my heart is, I drive through Corpus Christi and I see these veterans standing there underneath, the intersection, or at the intersection under the bridge with signs like homeless veteran. Like I want to do more for veterans. Like I want to get a house for homeless veterans. We have a sober living veterans house, but I want to get a house for homeless veterans and be able to pull them off the street, bring them into a safe environment for a couple of days, let the fog come off the brain, and be like, what do you want to do? Like, because you shouldn't be on the streets. You know what I mean? That like breaks my heart every time I see that. And I told Jeremy, like, if we hit the lottery, like, I'm going to buy a house and we're just going to pull homeless veterans into that house and we're going to get them over to the VA and figure out what we can do with them. Like,
That's your heart, Brian. That's your big heart. That's what's pushing you through all this stuff is your
yeah,
heart.
it kills me to see that. I stop every time I see one and I pull them over and I'm like, do you want to go over here and get a good night's rest? And sometimes we will. Sometimes we'll bring them in and we'll shower them and feed them and give them a place to sleep for the night and just get them off the streets for even one night. But I want a house that I can just take homeless veterans to. Like, and I'll take them myself right off the street. I'm not too good for anything. Like, I don't care. I want these guys off the street in Corpus Christi, Texas. And unfortunately, there's quite a few of them here, and I know that some of these veterans think that the VA is like against them, and things have changed with the VA. We have a direct link to the VA over here, and we can get them in and we can get them help, but it just kills me to see them on the streets, especially veterans. I got like a soft spot for veterans. I don't know what it is.
Well, they did a sacrifice, man, and there's no reason they should be out there doing that. They have plenty of training, discipline, life happens, and sometimes we just need some help, man. We need a hand up, and not to be looked down upon. So you're doing a wonderful thing, man, which leads me to the next thing. What about local partners, like to find them jobs, warehouse, restaurants, bike shops, whatever? Like,
Okay, so we have a really good community in Corpus Christi. That's what a lot of the managers are there for. A lot of the managers are there to tell them, hey, this place is hiring, this place is hiring. We have a company called STX Beef. One of my guys actually that was starting at RCI came in here. He was on 2 probations, one out of San Patricio County, one out of Corpus Christi. And he had just got out of a 9-month treatment facility. He came in here. He started on the kill floor. It's a place that slaughters cattle, and it's a place that produces meat and sells meat to grocery stores and stuff in the area. And he started there on the kill floor at $12 an hour. He is now a superintendent up there, making over 6 figures a year. So like they hire a lot of our guys. They hire like 300 people so the guys can always go up there and get work. The guys in the house and the house managers are really good about getting the guys jobs. Like it's not going to be the job you want right off the rip, right? But it's going to be a job. So we have a lot of guys at Denny's, a lot of guys at IHOP, a lot of guys landscaping. We have a lot of guys at STX. Like there's plenty of work in Corpus Christi. There are jobs everywhere here. And once you get your license back and get a vehicle, then it opens up even more, because then you can get further than like a 5 mile radius to get to work. And we have Bay out here, we have Kiewit, we have a lot of like oil companies, Sidco, Valero, refineries, that kind of thing. So sometimes the guys end up getting on there and it's, 22, 23, $24 an hour to start. So it just kind of depends on the situation, but employment is definitely not a problem here.
So for people who want to, maybe there's somebody listening that wants to start their own sober living, it starts in the community. You have to be involved in that community outreach, talking to everybody in there to be successful. You can't just go and say, I'm gonna open up this house, I'm gonna help all these people, and this is what I'm gonna do, be closed off. You have to be out there doing things on a regular basis in the community so people know who you are and you could find those resources so you could be successful. That house
Yeah.
is a big part of it, sounds like.
Yeah, it definitely started for me in the recovery community. That's where I started this journey. And the walk is everything. Like I don't talk the talk. I don't ask these guys to do anything I didn't do, you know, and I don't ask them to do anything I don't do to this day. Like to this day, I'm still actively involved in my recovery. Today I've got a family. I just had a baby boy. He's about 6 months old. Like I have a whole new life today. You know what I mean? And people see that, and it's very important for me to stress to them, like I didn't do this in 90 days. It doesn't happen in 90 days, right? It takes time, and it takes consistency, and it takes vigilance and perseverance. Especially knowing that things are going to still happen in life. You might have a relative die. You might go through getting fired from a job. You might go through a life on life term thing that you got to get through. And if I can do it, that's what I tell them. If I can do it, you can do it. You know?
What a complete sentence. Hope looks like what to you? What does hope look like? And it's all what you think.
To me, hope to me is literally my predecessors, the people that have been in this journey longer than me. They continue to give me hope. One thing, I was just recently at a meeting not too long ago, and a guy with about 35 years was sharing, and he said, being clean for 35 years, I would think that this wouldn't be something that he struggled with, but he said that the hardest part of his day is going into a convenience store and looking at that beer cooler and seeing that ice cold 25-ounce can of beer, right? And he knows that he can't pick one of those up because of where it's going to take him. And for me, I go through that. I walk into a store and my brain tells me, you've been clean 8 years. You can have one of those. And I know it's a lie because I can't have one of anything. You know what I mean? But seeing the guys that came before me still doing this, still staying in touch with their recovery, still staying in touch with, showing compassion and empathy for where the newcomer's at, and wanting to guide and lead him. And like you said, giving that hope back to these guys that come in after us. So for me, it's both ways. And that's the one spiritual principle that I actually learned, that I can't give somebody acceptance. I can't give somebody surrender, but I can give somebody hope and they can give me hope back.
Yeah.
That one can be given both ways.
Yeah. Hope is the only thing. That's what keeps you going, man. Is the
Yeah.
hope, right? Well, I appreciate your time, Ryan. If there's anything else you want to add, if not, I'll wrap it up here in a second.
No, that covers pretty much everything. Like I said, there's some renovations we need here. Where the organization's going from here, God knows that answer, and we'll find out. But I'm going to keep doing what I do and showing these people the way and leading the way. And I'm going to keep opening houses, and we're going to keep helping men, women, and veterans here in the community. That's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah, appreciate the work you do, man. Keep doing it. I'm sure the veterans and recovery people are appreciative of that. And I want to let everybody know, if you're struggling out there, there's help. There's people you can reach out to. There's resources. If you don't know where to start with the websites that we're going to have listed on the video here. It doesn't necessarily have to be in your state. Maybe you just look at that and you kind of see what they're doing, and then you could find the right resource in your state. But there's hope. Everybody has to go through this, right? You're not the only one that's recovering that has that problem where you go to the convenience store and you look and you're like, oh my God, that's tough. It still is there day to day. So it's good to know that other people are, you're not alone. It's good to know you're not alone in that. You're not broken. You're not weird. You're not different. It's just the struggle that you happen to be going through. So
yeah,
somebody, get help. We love you guys. You're not alone. You can recover, and we can make our community that much better. And we appreciate you, Brian, a ton. You put in a lot of work. I see the work. I see it. And it ain't like some, fancy rich guy from Hollywood is staying in your place paying you, $50,000. You're doing the groundwork, the grunt work, the work that has to be done to help us, to help this community, and help the people. So we appreciate you, brother, a ton.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wish I did have a Hollywood star funding me.
Let's find one.